This is the way.
Rise, Meg.
The Force will be with you.
Hello my dear friends, and welcome back to another Star Wars news update. I hope you're all having an amazing day. So in today's news, we're going to be talking about really exciting new details for The Mandalorian Season 3. We'll also be discussing the role that Mara Jade could play in the book of Boba Fett, as well as Season 3 of Mando, and a really fascinating new book that's coming out soon. So without much further ado, and without any more jibber jabber, let's dive straight into it. So before we talk about The Mandalorian, we need to talk about the Ahsoka Tano series, because there's been some really big news that they've cast Aladdin's Mena Massoud to play live-action Ezra Bridger. Now this is presumably going to be for the Ahsoka show, but it could also be for The Mandalorian Season 2. The reason I say this is because the official statement has said for upcoming Star Wars projects. Now, while Massoud has not yet entered into any kind of official agreement, the studio has been speaking to him for a while about the role, and they are in the process of talking about contracts. When we have more news, you can expect me to cover that, but this is really huge because we finally can confirm we are going to get Ezra Bridger, and he is in the process of being cast. So now on to The Mandalorian. So as you guys know, the Great Purge, the Great Mandalorian Purge, is a real mystery in terms of Star Wars. We don't really know too much about it, but it turns out that we're going to be finding out a lot more in Season 3, because Season 3 is rumoured to reveal the origins and more details to do with this mysterious event. Now I suppose it makes sense that we are going to explore the Great Purge in Season 3, given the fact that it's a season that's going to be much more focused on Mandalorian creed and tradition. Season 2 was all about bringing Grogu to a Jedi, and it ended up being Luke Skywalker, but now that Din Djarin has the Darksaber, he has much more Mandalorian tasks to deal with. So that is all the rumour says. However, there is an article from CBR which goes in a little bit more depth. This was written a couple of days ago, and it's a theory that states that the Great Purge was caused by the Blue Shadow virus. So we're going to take a look at this because, believe me, it's absolutely fascinating. So they write, the Great Purge was introduced in Star Wars The Mandalorian, and not much is known about the events. But one theory in particular ties it to the Clone Wars. The Mandalorian takes all of the best things about Star Wars and creates a story that is all heart and adventure. Its second season took things one step further by reintroducing classic characters from past Star Wars projects. However, with the show taking place 6 years after Return of the Jedi, there are still so many questions that we need answers to. Since episode 1, there's been the passing mention of the planet Mandalore's fate. Everyone who has talked about it mentions an event which is called the Great Purge. There is currently no word on what exactly transpired, but it left the planet uninhabitable. Mando even calls it cursed in Chapter 11. According to Boba Fett in Season 2, Episode 5, the Empire turns that planet into glass. Many fans have been wondering exactly what he was talking about and what happened, and users on Reddit have some really interesting ideas. The Mandalorian is the perfect place to theorize the future of the series. The countless callbacks to other shows turn the mystery into a puzzle that requires a vast knowledge of the franchise as a whole. One theory takes the course all the way back to the Clone Wars, with Season 1, Episode 17, Blue Shadow Virus. In it, the Republic is tasked with retrieving and finding an antidote for the deadly disease. Some theorizers believe that the Empire used this on Mandalore, rendering it uninhabitable. In theory, this idea has somewhat solid footing, because the Republic was the only place that housed both the virus and its cure. With the Republic reformatted into the Empire, it would make sense that the Emperor would return it for nefarious purposes. The series also talks about how the Empire took a lot of Beskar from the planet. If a virus decimated the entire place, it would stand to reason that the Empire would be able to walk onto the planet and take whatever they wanted without a fight. One of the Mandalorian's strengths is creating questions by reintroducing old ideas to a new audience. With the return of Bo-Katan and her loss of the Darksaber, it stands to reason that she may have had something to do with the fall of Mandalore. However, it is unclear if it would tie into any theories regarding the Blue Shadow virus. The Blue Shadow virus in its natural form was a waterborne virus. A victim infected with the plague only had 48 hours to live before the virus became fatal. It was even notorious for being supposedly incurable, with a 96% success rate in killing carbon-based life forms. While this theory is engaging, it is not without plot holes. One Redditor added a comment reminding the thread that Boba Fett's line about the planet being glassed implies that it was decimated by heavy weaponry that potentially killed many civilians. Commenters were quick to add that this potentially could have been used in conjunction with the virus by gassing the domed cities and glassing the rest of the planet. Something so sinister as that could be well within the power of the Empire too. Theorizers have also abandoned the Blue Shadow virus idea altogether, opting for other creative reasoning like the reintroduction of Sabine Wren's superweapon, the Duchess, from Star Wars Rebels. Considering that it was designed to leave only Beskar, it's a strong theory. Others assume the destruction of Mandalore had to do with the Operation Cinder, the Emperor's last decree where selected planets were bombarded with artillery to destroy any living thing on the surface. Now, in case you guys don't remember, this was mentioned very prominently in Chapter 15, The Believer. For now though, the true answer is still a mystery that will be explored in Season 3. When it does of course arrive, it will excite all of us. It will also appease many theorizers and hold true to the Mandalorian style of storytelling. So the Great Purge is something I spoke about quite a bit leading up to Season 2 of Mando, and I want to know what you guys think. What do you think caused the Great Purge? There have been endless theories on this, and I want to know what you think in the comments down below. Remember that Season 3 is set to be a lot darker than Season 2, and we're not going to have as many side quests, but rather one linear storyline. So with that in mind, my dear friends, let's move on to our next article, because we're going to be talking about Mara Jade and how she fits in to not only The Mandalorian, but also the book of Boba Fett. This article was written by Inverse, and it states, The Mandalorian Season 3 can fix its Luke Skywalker problem with one big change. When Boba Fett was hanging at Jabba's palace surrounded by agents of Luke Skywalker, someone else was undercover there too. In the old Legends canon, Mara Jade Skywalker, an agent of Palpatine and future partner of Luke, was also there at the same time. We all know that the old Legends canon technically doesn't count anymore, but with rumours suggesting that Thrawn trilogy material could become canon again, we cannot discount the possibility of Mara Jade coming in. So here is why Mara Jade fits into The Mandalorian Season 3. In the old EU canon, Mara's early timeline went something like this. She worked for Palpatine as the Emperor's hand, a private assassin, and that was around about the time of 4 ABY. Then she was a freelance smuggler, eventually working for Talon Card, and that was 6 ABY to 9 ABY, and finally she buddies and eventually becomes the wife of Luke around 9 ABY. So somewhat relevantly, the timeline of both the Book of Boba Fett and Mando Season 3 just happens to match up perfectly with Mara's old timeline. Mando could easily meet a new version of Mara Jade in smuggling circles, or Boba Fett could find that she's still operating out of Tatooine, perhaps even part of a swoop bike gang. So why would Mara Jade be on Tatooine at the same time as Boba? Well, when she still worked for Palpatine, she also was able to infiltrate Jabba's palace and pretended to be one of his dancers. It's safe to assume that Bib Fortuna may have kept some of those original dancers, and so in the new canon timeline, it would be pretty easy to concoct a similar backstory for Mara Jade. A story that still takes place near Jabba's palace, but far enough away from the Sarlacc to have avoided being killed by Luke. She could be someone that Boba Fett runs into, and this could also tie in with The Mandalorian. We know that there's going to be a lot of overlap, guys, so this is not out of the question. So finally, my dear friends, we're going to be talking about a new book that Lucasfilm is bringing out. This is really exciting because obviously I'm a huge Palpatine fan, and they've kind of written a book that will reveal Palpatine's secrets of the Sith. And basically, it's an in-universe guide to the Sith, and it's supposedly from the perspective of Palpatine. So it's a first-person perspective in the words of Granddaddy Palps. And it's going to be called The Secrets of the Sith. I can't wait to read it, and I'll definitely get my hands on it. So my dear friends, that is all of the news I have today. I really hope you enjoyed this one. If you did, please be sure to give me a big fat thumbs up. Subscribe to the channel if you're new, give the notification bell a good old tickle, and I will see you tomorrow. I'm Star Wars Meg, wishing you all a phenomenal rest of the day, no matter where you dwell in the galaxy. Have a good one.